has really come up in the past, I would say, half a decade, and even more so during the pandemic. And it's probably one of the only platforms that is so democratic. It doesn't distinguish or it doesn't ask you for your, how do I say, your pronouns. It doesn't ask you for, it doesn't shut you out on the basis of your gender or your caste or your whatever other characteristic that you're used to being shut out because of in maybe in the offline world. In on the online space, I would like to say, of course, it's a boon and a bane. It's up to us really how we as creators also use it. And it also helped me understand my transness and the rich culture that India holds for transgender people, and how the offline world may have been much more cruel to people like me that are transgender and have to like hold that back. But I think that creating content without thinking about what other people might say, or and that's another thing, that's the other beauty of social media, and especially platforms like Instagram and YouTube, is you get to share what you are authentically. And of course, on the other side, there are all sorts of possibilities as to what people might and how they might consume your content. For example, when they see someone like me, they're used to believing, and because they've been conditioned to believe. It's not like one day they just woke up and started believing that a certain community or a sub-community is a certain way, right? So in mainstream media, we've always been portrayed in right since when I can remember, as when I was a kid, and from the 80s and the 90s, and right up to the 2000s and later on as well, we were portrayed as very caricaturish images. In fact, to some people, a transgender person speaking in any other language rather than broken, tattered, battered Hindi or one of our regional state languages is all they would fathom. And for them, me speaking here, or my sisters or my siblings from the community speaking to an audience like you, like this beautiful audience that's here in an institution like this, is was not even considered a reality. Whereas sadly, that was that, and that continues to even today. Today I am sitting here and speaking with all of you because I have used my art to transcend all these barriers that people put for one another, of gender, of color, of orientation, of where you come from, where you go to, how much you earn, and and what your marital status is, and all of these other characteristics of a person, which really shouldn't matter. So I use my art to kind of transcend through all these barriers that we create for one another. And I realized that at the very core of it, we're nice people, human beings. It's also, I just think that it's also the facades that we use, maybe because of peer pressure, because of how we want to kind of abide by a particular norm that really I don't know who has created. But it's very simple that through my art, I have kind of tried to empower other people from communities that have been dismissed, and in fact even not even considered human to even have equal rights in a democracy. Now that's the dichotomy, is when you're in a democratic nation, what you really believe is that these are certain things that are given to you. But for my community, if we ask, it's like, oh my God, why are they asking to live, like why are they asking to be educated? Their two jobs are sex work and begging. So I think through my content, what I realized, first of all, through other content creators, and also online during the pandemic, I realized that I should not, I was harming myself and doing a lot of disservice by containing all this fabulosity into one closet. And I said that I had to kick open that closet, because before that I was, of course, living as a man. And then a lot of people very conveniently asked me, it was quite funny to me, was that, you're a man, gay is okay. Why do you want to come out as a transgender person? Just be comfortable and just be a man, and I was like, wow. Oh, so there even within the community there are so many layers of and intersections as to how they look at you, and they'll be like, be comfortable, just be, push it under the carpet. And I think that through the internet I understood and I realized that I can't really contain all of this, as I said, and it's a personal it's expression. So your expression would probably be different from mine, but what I realized is all of us are allowed to express freely without harming any community or another person online. And there are certain how do I say this? There are certain exceptions to this. Like there are people who would probably have made an entire a name based on sort of thrashing other people. And so my thing is that I realized that you also, as a creator, also have the choice to consume, and what you consume and share to your audiences. And I don't consume that. What I do consume is, I love people winning. I love people who have been told that they can't win, they can't be here, they're not worth it. I love to see them win. So my thing is that when I saw people like me expressing themselves freely, and might I add, they were not even as privileged as me, because my privilege is, when I say I'm privileged, people are like, what? As a trans person in India, how are you privileged? My privilege is that my parents didn't throw me on the street. My privilege is that my parents did not leave my hand, and they educated me. These are my privileges, and therefore I'm here. And unfortunately, I know that I have friends, and I have girls that grew up with me, trans girls, that are probably on the street, and the only reason is because they didn't have what I had from my family. So through my content, I think what I do is that I want an equal playing ground. It's not like we want any special rights. We just want the rights that to live as an equal citizen. And I think through content and through art, when you kind of showcase that on larger platforms, that's the reason also why I'm able to even speak to you. I would have loved to be there with you all, but I'm shooting my debut Bollywood film, and it took me 17 years to get this role. So I think that everybody is opening up and opening their minds and hearts, and hopefully pockets the next film onwards. Um, but I just think that I think people are waking up and understanding that the notion that gender has to be binary has been taught to us. And I think that when you unlearn and relearn, I learn something every day, because I meet as an artist, and also as a live performer, and also as a in different cities, different countries. You learn every day. So I think we have to unlearn what we have strictly sort of been conditioned to know, because I think when we hold on to those notions and we're not ready to accept that there may be different realities, is when we do ourselves a very big disservice. So which is why I think that also when you look at content from different parts of the world, different communities, different sects, different creators, and also from different verticals, right? Like, for example, I found it extremely tough to log into this call because I'm very technologically challenged. But I learned, and I'm here. And so I think that was an achievement for me today. But I think that, for something as little as when we are spoken, and I have to tell you that, through our constant reminders to our policymakers, the one very good thing that has come out of it is that the National Institute of Social Defense, under the Social Justice Ministry of India, had a hearing, and then they actually have now, they have a portal, which is an internet portal, where because there were several petitions saying that, it's very difficult to identify on paper as a transgender person. I believe India is one of the first countries that actually has a national internet portal where you have to just enter your details, and then you go and have a meeting, and then you just fill a form, and if you want to identify as a transgender person, you can. And I think that's very beautiful. A lot of people also look at me, and then when I'm going to go on tour next month, and I'll be in the States as well. And when I speak and then I tell them I'm from India, they're like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "Yes, because we're very educated, the ones that are, and the ones that are not, we're trying to get there with them. But also, I do believe that when it comes to certain things, certain times media doesn't do complete service, or doesn't give the audiences as much credit for what it's due. I think the audience is very, very aware of issues regarding the LGBT community, especially the transgender community, because of course there is a religious aspect to it. There is all of these aspects, and as creators, what we do is that we tell them that yes, that's one aspect of it, but there are also all of these other aspects of it. So through my I think through my content, what I try to do is that what I believe in and what I make content out of is essentially what I'm living, and I also how that empowers a larger section of society. And it doesn't have to be just transgender people. It doesn't have to just be LGBTQIA plus or queer or the rainbow family. It we want to be, it's not like we created this community with some membership cards or something. We were secluded, or we were dismissed from society for so many to live as equal citizens, which is why that community was formed, right? That's why we're marginalized. And I think that it would be lovely when one day I have to not be introduced as, this is Sushant Digvekar, this is an LGBT artist, or this is a queer activist, or this is, and also we don't want to just wake up every day and be activists. If people stopped being douchebags, we'll stop being activists. I would really want to wake up every morning and concentrate on my riyaz, and do my riyaz properly and be an artist. But unfortunately, I think that the times we're living in, it's also I have to do double the riyaz so that my voice becomes stronger, so I can fight not just for myself but also for people who don't have that voice. Having said that, I'm very hopeful, because this new generation of creators has been splendid in a way that I can't even explain to you, because they're so much more empathetic to marginalized communities, as well as they're more educated in terms of, also because they're exposed to so much more than us. And I just hope and pray that policymakers, more of our content reaches more policymakers, and then that we have an equal playing ground. And I do believe that the future is bright, and I'm completely living for it. Am I under the 50 minutes mark? I just like to.
You are. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for being under the 15-minute mark. And